Hey YouTube, how's it going? So this is going to be a bit of a longer video. Feel free to use the timestamps down below. We're going to be looking at the benchmarks of a couple different games and just some gameplay on this is from the ASUS TUF A15 with the 7940HS and the RTX 4050. So we're going to start off with Red Dead Redemption 2, and Red Dead Redemption 2 has way too many settings, but this is with all the settings that I could possibly maxed out. And of course, I'm not going to narrate through this entire 17-minute-ish video, but I'll chime in when I have something to say or at the start and end of each benchmark. So that's an average of 49 frames per second with everything maxed out. And the next thing we're going to do is turn on DLSS and see how much that helps. Alright, turning on DLSS netted us an extra whopping 7 frames. Of course, in a cinematic game like this, close to 60 frames per second is really all you need. And up next is the Cyberpunk 2077 benchmark. This is the Ultra preset with AMD FSR turned off. And that average does 76 frames per second. Next up, we're going to switch to the Ray Tracing Medium preset with DLSS turned off. Ray Tracing Medium with DLSS turned off nets us a whopping 26 frames per second, which that's actually identical to what I got in my benchmark spot with Ray Tracing turned on. However, where I benchmark at ultra settings, I actually got like 15 more frames. It was like 91 frames per second, I believe. I actually use the benchmark. It's at the start of the corpo life path. I do that taxi ride and I look at the average of that, just because this benchmark didn't come out until about 6 or 12 months after the game started, so just for continuity, that's what I've always used. Although, to be honest, a lot of my benchmarks that are that old of Cyberpunk aren't really relevant, just because it has had some pretty significant optimization patches since it launched. And so with ray tracing turned on, you're looking at like 41 frames per second. Alright, next up is Atomic Hearts, and this isn't actually a very demanding game. It's running pretty easily. So what I decided to do was just test out two different gaming modes here. It's all the graphic settings are set to max, but this is in performance mode. Yeah, and with now set to turbo mode, you can see you're only getting like 10 frames more, which works out to like 5 to 8% boost in performance. And that's at the expense of, if you watch my review video, like 5 to 7 more decibels of fan noise. And that's pretty standard. Normally between the highest performance mode on a laptop and the second highest, the fans are a lot louder at the highest performance mode without really giving you a significant boost in performance, especially because like the biggest limitation of the 4050 is still going to be that 6 gigabytes of VRAM, and setting it to performance mode doesn't magically materialize more VRAM. Alright, so next up, just for funsies, we're going to take a look at The Last of Us. This is the low preset, and you can see even at low, this game is using like 5 gigabytes of VRAM. Pretty crazy. But it is running at a smooth 80-ish frames per second. And now medium settings, which you can see it wants 7 gigabytes of VRAM. So, and of course we will take a look with the RTX 4070 that I have right now and the Helio 16 that I will be reviewing. Hopefully I'll have that review out this weekend. Isn't going to really have enough VRAM for this game. Alright, and next up is the high preset, which wants 7.4 gigabytes of VRAM. And let's see, you can see right here when I walk by these cops, oh yeah, there's a big FPS stutter. Yeah, big FPS stutter where the textures are not really being able to render in properly and stuff. So the 4050 is actually getting a decent average frame rate. You're just going to have a very stuttery play experience if you don't have, once you really exceed that VRAM requirement. Alright, what we're going to do next is turn on DLSS and see what that does for us. And the problem with DLSS is it can certainly help with frame rate, but you can see it really doesn't change the VRAM requirement all that much. And there's the crash. Though I'm sure that would have happened without DLSS on at high settings if I played a little longer too. It's just not enough VRAM. Overall, I thought the A15 was a solid laptop. If you've been paying attention to the temperatures up in the corner, you can see those have been really good. My overall thoughts on the 4050 are, while it's objectively a very good improvement over the 3050 Ti and is good enough for high to highest settings in 95% of games at 1080p, in reality, it's going to make more sense most of the time to spend, like for example with the TUF A15, only an extra $100 to get that 4060 and an extra 2 gigabytes of VRAM, and you're getting an extra 10 to 20% performance. Although if you're laptop shopping right this moment, it's still definitely probably worth looking into a 3070 Ti or RTX 3080 laptop from last gen. For example, I saw a Scar, I think it had a 5900H and RTX 3080, so 2 gens old, but $1,400, and it's probably going to outperform a 4070 in most scenarios, especially at like 1440p. I do think next year when we see 4050 laptops going down to those like $700, $800 sale prices like we see with 3050 laptops right now, they'll definitely make an enticing budget offer for people really on a budget. So yeah, I'm just going to round this video out with some gameplay. It's at medium settings with DLSS on. that's all I got. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them down below.